Anyways, this dumb Russian voyage.
There are an abundance of iconic combinations out there, like spaghetti and meatballs, a sorority girl in a white Jeep, or depression and alcoholism. But like US
Very
presidents
nice.
and convertibles, not everything can be a match made in heaven.
Oh,
And as much as
no.
Mother Russia would love to dominate the high seas,
Oh, no.
nearly landlocked nations and stellar navies don't exactly go hand in hand. But for all the Russian Navy's dismal, underwhelming, pathetic lack of glory in the early 20th century, it's always important to look on the bright side.
Oh.
Like how it gives me good YouTube content. So on today's episode, I'm gonna learn you all
Do
about
it for the
misadventures
content.
of the Russian Baltic Fleet.
Ooh. Ooh, funky. Russia's cutting it cool, right? It's very
It's
cool.
the turn of the 20th century, and what better way to kick off a new era than
Expansion.
Russia is cool. Which is great for things like
Expansion. Russia and expansion. Name a better combo.
stopping Nazis and badass TikToks, but not ideal for ports. Having your port turn to ice every winter is what those of us more versed in nautical terms would call not very cash money. The Russian Empire
That's
notices
not very
China
cash
has a
money
pretty
to you,
nifty
Russia.
port with, get this, warm water. However, there's this
Ooh,
pesky
warm
little
water.
thing called a border in the way. But that's okay.
Darn.
China isn't European. It's not a real country. So Russia takes control and gets the Chingalisa in the port. Japan doesn't like what they see. So
Oh,
they
this
deal with
one.
Russia and are all like,
Hey, vodka boy, invading China is our thing.
but Russia won't share, leaving diplomacy
Nice.
dead in the water. But that's okay.
Darn.
The new DLC just dropped and everyone's just itching to
Modern
try their new
weapons.
toys. So the Japanese attack Port Arthur, kicking off the Russo-Japanese War. Fast forward a few battles and the Russians are losing pretty badly. So the Tsar authorizes quite the preposterous proposal of sending the Russian
How
Baltic
so?
Fleet to reinforce the East. And you may be wondering,
Uh-oh.
BlueJay, what's so preposterous about sending reinforcements? Well, kiddo, the Baltic part of Russian Baltic Fleet means it operates in, get this, the Baltic.
Baltics.
And as we learned earlier, boats don't like ice, so you can't go this way to Port Arthur, meaning the Tsar authorized a plan for an 18,000-mile journey around the world.
no.
Which is 29,000 kilometers, or 1,140,480,000 gumballs. The voyage was
That's
also
a lot of
logistical
gumballs.
nightmare, as the Russians didn't have any holdings in Africa or South Asia to refuel along the way. Add that to the fact that the fleet spent months at a time frozen in port, so the crew of mostly uneducated peasants couldn't tell you the difference between a bowline knot and a porcelain pot. This group of inexperienced conscripts
rhyme.
was put under the command of Admiral Rozhetsvensky, a man so prone to anger that his staff made sure to keep a large supply of binoculars at the ready due to how often he would throw them overboard. But hey, fuck it, what better way to learn than a trial by fire, right? So they set sail on their epic quest to turn the tide of the war and bring glory to the motherland.
Hell
And
yeah.
immediately the flagship runs aground and a cruiser loses his anchor. While they waited for the flagship
Dang
to
it.
refloat, a destroyer forgot friendly fire was on and rammed into a battleship, prompting it to
Of
return for
course.
repairs. Don't worry, men. Surely this can't be foreshadowing. As the fleet pushed on, a
Foreshadowing.
growing hysteria
I
spread
love
amongst
that.
the crew. They were afraid that at any second they'd be ambushed by Japanese torpedo boats.
Uh-oh.
By Denmark. This is
By
pretty worse if you thought. But
Denmark.
the crewmen didn't have time to worry about things as frivolous
Yeah.
as logic. So when two fishermen approached the fleet to deliver a message, they opened fire. The two fishermen survived the false alarm without a scratch thanks to the horrible standards of the Russian gunnery. As for their message, they informed Rear Admiral Rozhetsvensky that he had been promoted to Vice Admiral.
I gotta love having being a small boat. Gotta love being a small boat that could barely hit that you can't. You're fired.
Iron this. This wouldn't be the only false alarm, as later another ship signaled that she was under attack by 8 Japanese torpedo boats, only to find out that
In
there
Denmark.
were
Fishing boats.
0 Japanese torpedo
Oh.
boats. There was just nothing there.
Oh,
Having survived the
nothing.
Baltic, our heroes made their way towards Britain, where they
Phew,
encountered a
barely
small
made
group of
it.
fishing trawlers at Dogger Bank. But surely by now, our
Dogger
skittish
Bank?
sailors have learned their
Sailing
lesson.
under the
Ninjas!
ninjas.
Chaos ensued.
Ninjas. The sailing over the Dogger Bank, or wasn't it a treat?
As the Russians laid down hellfire upon the unsuspecting fishermen. The Russians are going bonkers. Some run around the deck aimlessly waving cutlasses to repel imaginary boarding parties, while others just cuddle up on the deck with life jackets, accepting their demise. Keep it up, men! These Japanese have horrendous aim, Igor. We haven't even taken a hit. But hey, at least this time we made sure they weren't fishermen first.
About that.
We're shooting at fishermen, aren't we? Definitely a possibility,
Yep.
sir. Well, at least we didn't fire on our own ships, killing a sailor and Russian Orthodox priest.
About that.
The British trawler fleet were sitting ducks as their nets in the water prevented a hasty escape, and the Russians fired at them for 20 minutes before realizing
20
their mistake.
minutes?
While this sounds
Oh
like
my
the setup for a
God.
massacre, you forget our heroes are about as effective as a guy holding a fish on Tinder, sinking only one
Oh,
trawler and
boy.
damaging 2 of their own ships. The battleship
Nice. Man. Side note. Women have no respect for fishermen. Come on. Women have no respect for fishermen. Then again, what do you expect from Tinder girls?
And damaging 2 of their own ships. The battleship Oriole really captured the spirit of a TikTok pickup artist, reportedly shooting 500
Again
shots
with the
without
Twitter,
scoring a single
the
hit.
Tumblr
2
girls.
fishermen and 2 Russians died in the mayhem, so at least the survivors
They
can
shot
brag
a
at the
priest.
local pub
Oh,
that they tied
that's
with the Russian
messed
Navy.
up.
This event became known as the Dogger Bank Incident and nearly ignited a war between Russia and Britain. The Brits just settled for revoking their access to the Suez Canal, forcing the Russians to make a slight tweak in their course. The slow, coal-powered fleet made its way towards Africa, attacking more civilians and cutting underwater telegraph cables along the way. They met up with some German supply ships to refuel due to the aforementioned lack of African buildings to make ports. What nice friends, those Germans. I'm sure their relationship will last. Africa's pretty big, almost as big as my self-loathing. So they took on double loads of coal and kept giant piles of the stuff just sitting on deck. Definitely the kind of thing to land you an EPA audit. But it's not like any sailors were going to die from black lung, except for the ones who did. Morale is low, so the Russian crew decides to lift their spirits by treating themselves to the exotic pets of Madagascar. Alright, men. Hey, Igor, stop sniffing glue for a sec, buddy. You all can go ashore and pick out one thing to bring back with you. Nothing too crazy, like snakes or crocodiles. What did I say? Sir, I can explain. Watch it throw back the shot at Tito's.
Holy shit! Holy shit! That snake is throwing out a back of Tito's. Throwing back a Tito's. Holy smokes.
To throw back the shot at Tito's. The ship became a floating zoo as the crew brought on a bunch of animals to roam the deck freely, including a crocodile and a venomous snake, which apparently took a liking for vodka. Panic followed shortly when the snake wrapped itself around guns and bit a commanding officer. One sailor gifted the admiral a parrot, which soon took after his rather extensive vocabulary of Russian curses. The flagship soon became overrun with chameleons who would frequently go missing due to their ability to seamlessly camouflage. Hey Igor, have you seen Comrade Camo? I can't find the little guy anywhere. No, I don't think so. Have you seen him private? Yeah, I don't think he's seen him either. But a good zoo isn't complete without an underwater exhibit.
Joke.
And luckily for them, the cooling plant on their refrigeration ship broke down, forcing them to dump all their meat into the ocean and giving them a nice following of sharks. At one point, the fleet was holding one of many funerals for a sailor who died of illness. During the ceremony, the Kamchatka fired a gun salute.
Why?
Work, gentlemen. Hey, say, you boys did make sure to load blanks, right? Yes, sir. Yeah.
Oh
Igor,
no!
Kind of fail there, buddy. After some more shenanigans, like foiling a mutiny and receiving a shipment of fur boots and coats instead of ammo, Admiral Rozitsvensky realized that they were approaching Japan.
That's a good joke. The 1904 Olympic Marathon. It may or may not have, which may or may not have some negative repercussions. Sukabiet.
Oh shit, that's right, I didn't train them. So we decided to run some gunnery practice on a stationary target. Miraculously, our group of misfits managed to score a single hit on the ship towing the target. But hey, at long last, the Baltic fleet closes in on Japan, approaching the Tsushima Strait during the night. The fleet extinguishes their lights to maintain stealth, all except for the Orel, which, as a hospital ship, kept them burning in accordance with the rules of war. The Orel comes upon a Japanese ship in the dark. And finally, after an extensive list of false alarms attacking fishermen and merchants alike,
oh my god, there's actual Japanese!
They come across an actual Japanese vessel.
Holy shit.
And determine it to be Russian. So they use their lights to communicate with it.
Are you fucking stupid? Winky face.
The Battle of Tsushima ensues. While our gallant sailors hold their own against the Japan, the Baltic fleet was decimated. 4,000 Russians died, with an additional 7,300 taken prisoner, compared to roughly 100 Japanese deaths. This effectively ended the war, marking the first time in history that an Eastern power defeated a European one. Way to go, buddy. Let's add that one to the scoreboard. Oh.
Ooh.
Oh dear.
Yikes.
So, in conclusion, the Russian Baltic fleet's odyssey around the world is a tale full of shenanigans and blunders, with our troublemaking peasant crew racking up quite the body count of innocent civilians and friendlies before seeing an actual enemy. And yes, while they may have attacked ships from practically every global power, disabled cities' communication grids, killed fellow sailors with gross negligence of safety practices, nearly ignited a major European war, and were about as accurate as Helen Keller playing laser tag, they also taught a snake to drink vodka, 9 out of 10 stars.
Yeah, 9 out of 10 czars, even. Yeah. You know what I especially liked?
Watch it throw back the shot at Tito's.
Yeah! Yeah. Chug, chug, chug. Man, that snake was the life of the party. For show.